Welcome participants, good afternoon. Welcome to the Residence Life and Admissions webinar on housing and the first year experience. We'll give all of you participants an opportunity to get in here. I'm watching our numbers climb and we'll give it a few minutes here. Let's make sure everyone is in and comfortable, and then we'll go ahead and get started. We appreciate you being with us tonight. Welcome participants, for those that have just joined. You are in the right place. This is our Residence Life and Admissions first year experience and housing webinar. We'll just give it another minute or so here and let all of you come into the webinar and get settled, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Again, we appreciate you being with us this evening. Looks like our participant number is kind of plateauing out here just a little bit. So we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone, good afternoon. My name is Aaron Mackey and I serve as the Associate Dean of Students and the Director for Residence Life. And again, welcome to our webinar. We know it's a beautiful afternoon out there. It feels great. I took a little walk this afternoon. Wish we were in person with you here, but this is also a really efficient way for us to share some information with you and for all of you to get some good information as you look at what kind of the next steps are here. We know that we have some outside the Twin Cities, so outstate Minnesota. We've got many of you from outside Minnesota joining us, so welcome. We really appreciate that. And we know these webinars can be, again, a really efficient way for you all to get some information. With me here today is Shekinah Coonley. She will introduce herself a little bit. She's part of the presentation. Shekinah and I will be kind of up front here doing a PowerPoint presentation with you and sharing information. Behind the scenes, we've got Brian and Megan, both from Brian's from housing and Megan is from admissions as senior admissions counselor. And they're going to be behind the scenes answering questions. So this is a webinar. So you all are not seen by us, we are seen by you. You're automatically muted, so don't worry about making noise in the background. Have dinner, have a snack, make yourself comfortable at home or wherever you might be. Use the Q&A function. So at the bottom there, Q&A, use that function to type in questions throughout the presentation. You don't have to wait till the end. So as we're going, please type in questions to the Q&A. And like I said, Brian and Megan then behind the scenes will be writing back to you with some answers to those questions. When Shekinah and I get to the end of our presentation, we'll take an opportunity to kind of open it up again as well. We'll look and see if there's been some themes throughout the Q&A that we want to bring to the entire group. And if there's any unanswered questions at that time too that Shekinah and I can address, we'll go ahead and address them at the end. So we've got some time here this evening, this afternoon with you. And we really appreciate you being here. This is an exciting time for all of you. I know as you're finishing out that senior year of high school and you're looking at what this next part of your academic career will be. It's also a really exciting time for us because we love St. Thomas. We're very proud of this institution and we just love this opportunity to talk with you a little bit about St. Thomas. We're aware that some of you on this webinar have decided fully that St. Thomas is the place for you in this fall, and you're really getting some information now again on transition information. And there's many of you still that have not decided yet. You might be between, one or two schools or more. And these are data points for you then to make a good decision about what's the best fit for you in the future. So we'll try and cover both sets of information and make this something that's applicable to all of you as an audience. So let's go ahead and begin with kind of the presentation part of it. Shekinah, if you want to move it forward. This really does go without saying, but it's always important to spend a little time on it and say it anyway. And that is, we are here for you. So we being us as administrators and faculty and staff, we being our student leaders, the goal of what we're trying to do, and everything that you're going to hear about in this presentation, whether it's related to where you live or where you dine or to your first year experience, is about creating a space that you feel connected to, that you feel a sense of belonging with, that has people around you that are supporting you on this journey. Transitioning out of high school and into college is a journey in and of itself, and will present different challenges along the way, and excitements and emotions, and having us around to help you through that is really important. And then once you're here and you're into your coursework and you're living on campus, you'll quickly understand that the learning is happening all around you. It's not just something that happens in a kind of four-walled classroom. It's happening all the time. And because you're involved in community in terms of how you live and how you socialize, and of course how you learn, different things are going to come up in your college time that it's helpful to have people around you to support you with. You're always going to have your family back home, quote unquote. But unlike high school, it's good to have people right in your community in close proximity. So for us in housing, you will have professional staff living in the hall with you. We call these individuals hall directors or community directors, master's levels individuals that are running that space and controlling that space, making sure that it's in good shape for you, making sure that your needs are being taken care of, providing you with information, meeting with you on an ongoing basis. They also supervise student leaders that we call RAs, or resident advisors. And these RAs are students here. They're second, third, fourth year students. So upper division, they're trained, good hiring process, and they're very ready to be a mentor to you, a friend to you, a peer educator to you. They're going to be living in the same community as you. So you'll be living in a space with probably 30 other residents. So bigger hall, but in a community with about 30 other residents. And there's one RA to every one of those communities. So we have like 80 RAs. And they're going to be working with you. They'll meet with you one-on-one. They will meet with you and your roommate or roommates. We know that having a roommate and living in community is going to be new for most of you, especially for 9 months is going to be definitely new for you. And they can really help you on those roommate relationships and when different things come up. They're going to make sure that you've got information you need as you're going through the year, whether that be registration information or clubs and orgs or intramurals, or different events and activities that are coming up. They're going to try and keep you on track with information because there's going to be a lot of things coming at you as a college student, and having a peer mentor educator like that living in the same community with you can be really helpful. So bottom line, we are here for you to support you and help you through this journey of 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it might be for you to go towards graduation. Let's talk about the residence halls now a little bit. So we have lots of halls. There's 30 different halls on campus. If you've been on campus, you've seen all these different buildings and halls. We are down to 4 halls that will be just for first years. So you will be in one of these 4 halls. And the best part about it is they're all new. They're either new construction or new renovation. So the green hall, furthest kind of down to the lower right there, we call Tommy North Residence Hall. It was built in 2020, so just 2 years old. It has a dining facility in it. It has 2 classrooms. So you might be taking a first year experience class, for example, or a living learning community class in there. A lot of community space, community kitchens and study rooms and lounges. And so just lots of opportunity to engage and connect with students. And this is our largest of our first year halls, about 480 students. But again, it's broken down into pods of about 30 for you to be with an RA and other residents with. As you kind of move left on the screen there, you'll see an orange dot. That's Ireland Residence Hall. This is our oldest of our halls for first year students, over 100 years old, but it's been just newly renovated in 2019 and 2020. So new rooms, new finishes and furnishings, brand new bathrooms and study space and community space. And so a lot of history and tradition there, tall ceilings, wide corridors, and again, a whole lower level that's dedicated to nothing but studying and lounging and recreating, and an information desk and a huge hall kitchen. And so just great kind of bonding and community experience and space for you as a student. As you move kind of towards that upper quad area there with the purple dot, that's Dowling Residence Hall. We had that offline this fall while we did a full renovation of it again. Every room, every community space, every bathroom. And we just brought that online here this spring. So really, we've only had students in it for a month. So it's basically brand new and they're just loving it. So again, brand new amenities, all new spaces, and a lot of connection and community space for you to do small group studies in and do a lot of socializing in. And then the furthest building there to the left on this kind of a teal color is our Brady Residence Hall. So that was open this fall for the students that are currently in Dowling to live in. They transitioned over, and now we've taken that offline, and we're in there making a lot of noise and a big mess. And we're fully renovating Brady Residence Hall as well too. And for those that have been able to come onto campus and have done some tours, if you've seen a Dowling tour room or have gotten into Dowling, Brady will look very, very similar in terms of, again, these finishes. And what we wanted to go for in all these new constructions and new renovations is to really meet you as this generation in terms of where you're at and where you're telling us you want to be. So what we have heard loud and clear is we want kitchens. We want to be able to do some cooking. Even though you'll be on a big meal plan, we want to be able to have some variety in terms of cooking. So we've redone all of our kitchens and all of these halls. We know that you all are studying in groups a lot more than previous generations have. So a lot of learning now is happening in groups. So we needed to give you really good study space to do that in groups. There's a lot more study space, study rooms, study lounges. We also know how important the socialization is here at college and making friends and building those connections. And so we've really doubled and even tripled what that community space looks like. And that, again, might be just soft seating. It might be gaming and theater rooms. It's ping pong tables and pool tables. It's just space to kind of gather and hang out. The bathrooms have been fully redone. Privacy is really important now for you all as a generation, as it should be. And so we're seeing just a more of an ask for privacy stalls in terms of showers, privacy bathrooms, single user bathrooms. So we've gone through now and redid all of our bathrooms. So every shower stall now has privacy hinges, floor to ceiling stalls, changing areas, same with the toilets. The sinks and the amenities are all brand new. Next to every community bathroom is a single user bathroom. So it's a space you can step into and you've got access to shower, toilet, and sink. And so that can be a space that you can just go to feel comfortable and to feel private and take care of your needs. So again, these are kind of operational things, space things, but we know they really make a difference to college students. And we wanted to really showcase them for you as you're looking at other schools and as you're thinking about coming here. These are spaces that we've got ready for you, and they're all new. I've been doing this for 22 years. I've been in housing for 17, and I've never had the opportunity to say to an incoming class of years that, hey, we've got brand new space for you, and these 4 halls are just wonderful. Shekinah. So if you're going to live on campus, of course, you're going to eat and dine on campus. And a few years ago, we moved to what we call this unlimited meal plan. Every first year student's on it. So it's not something you have an option for to pick between different plans like you might see at some other schools. Everyone is going to be on this plan. And what it is some schools, and we used to do this too, is kind of a declining balance. So you might have 200 meals, and then every time you go into a venue, you go down to $199, $198, et cetera, or you start with like $2,000 and like it's a debit card and it declines your balance. What we found was happening with our students is that you all were going in and kind of treating it like an all you can eat, and you were just feeling this pressure to kind of maximize your value. And unfortunately, that just wasn't creating for good healthy eating and dining habits. And so we moved to this unlimited meal plan. And what that means is it's unlimited in terms of how many times you want to go in. So if you're someone who likes to get up early and go in and say, grab some coffee or a donut or a bagel or something before going to your morning class, you can go in and do that and not worry about running out of meals, for example. You can have a light lunch or a heavy lunch. You can do a kind of a mid snack if you want, a little caffeine pick me up or get some sugar in you. Again, you can do multiple dinners. You can do a dinner and go back, say at 8 or 9 o'clock at night and get kind of a late night snack before you go to study or something like that. So just giving you maximum flexibility in terms of how you dine on our campus. The other piece of all this is we now have 2 residential dining facilities. So prior to Tommy North being built, we had the one facility, which is in our Anderson Student Center. It's a beautiful student center. The view is the residential dining in there. It's a great facility. We were able to add the North Sider and Tommy North, and now that gives you variety of food too. So you'll see some common things in there around salads and sandwiches and pizzas and whatnot, but you're also going to see a lot of different variety in terms of what the main entree may be, what an a la carte may be, a carvery station, the desserts, some of these other pieces. The North Sider is a little bit more tapas style in some ways, in that you can get some small plates of things and try a variety of different things, a little more gourmet. The view's a little bit more cafeteria style. So again, it's all about you and giving you flexibility in when you eat, and then giving you flexibility in terms of what you eat. I think we'll move it now to Shekinah to talk a little bit about the first year experience and what this looks like and how it connects to housing. Shekinah?
Great, thank you, Aaron, for kicking us off. Welcome, families and students especially. I'm happy to be here every year doing this presentation or a variation of this event, as it is very important for you all to know what is the opportunities for you to have at St. Thomas, what residence life, and then our first year experience. So I will highlight a lot of different aspects of the first year experience and how they integrate and impact your residential experience. Okay. So the first year experience, we also do the acronym of FYE. So you might hear that when you're touring or hearing other students talk about it. So the first year experience is designed to give you as students a foundational and fundamental experience that will help you succeed at St. Thomas. And it also will help you build community. So for this instance, this is an opportunity for us as a university to say, hey, we value that transition time that you're going to be in as a cohort of students. Most universities will have some variation of a first year experience in a cohort style. So note that you probably will see something similar to this at other institutions that you're looking into, or if you have been interested in St. Thomas for a year or two, you know you've seen this for a little bit now about what that first year experience looks like. So within our first year experience, it is a part of our curriculum. And when we say curriculum, that's a part of essentially the coursework and the track for graduation. And so for curriculum and the first year experience, it consists of two components. The first is the Foundation for College Success. That's the FYE X100 course. That is a 1-credit course that every first year student takes at St. Thomas. And then there's the learning community requirement. And some of you have already started asking questions about this learning community requirement. How does that intersect with housing, and how does that intersect with the first year experience? And so for every student to essentially graduate at St. Thomas, they have to meet the requirement of passing the FYE X100 class and the learning community requirement. To fulfill the learning community requirement, there are two ways that students can participate in a path. One of those is the living learning communities, that is our LLCs, or it can be the theme-based learning communities, that is our TBLCs. Now, both of them are fundamentally able to be there to support you in your experience, and it's some residential on-campus experiences connected to your coursework. They're both will have out-of-classroom experiences and events, activities that will be able to help bridge that learning and that connection, but also you are expected and required to engage in for both. And then the student choice of LLC and TBLC is connected to your residential experience. So note that while you might say LLCs is definitely the choice for me, or you might say TBLCs is definitely the choice for me, know that one of the two are required, right? A part of that learning community. So again, meant to be a cohesive experience for you all to say, hey, we all as a cohort of first year students went through some type of curriculum together. Okay, so now we're going to dive into a little bit about our living learning communities, which is my specialty area. So super excited to engage with you all about what that looks like. So for our learning community requirement, again, we'll talk a little bit about the difference between LLCs and TBLCs a little bit. So the LLCs, our living learning communities, are special environments where students live and they connect around a similar academic interest, and they'll connect in and outside of the classrooms. Students will take a course in the fall semester and they'll live in that same community. So when you're thinking of LLCs, think of this is an opportunity for me to connect with faculty in the academic area around this coursework and then live in the same hall. For our TBLCs, our theme-based learning communities, students are provided with an experience that is centered around our mission, and students will take 2 courses based on the themes in different academic areas. And there are 5 different themes for the TBLCs. So when you're thinking of TBLCs, think of it as a component of more interdisciplinary meaning that give you multi-exposure to a theme in different areas. That could be you are interested in being an engineering student. You are interested in being an engineering student and you are looking at sustainability. Well, how does that look in theology and in engineering? So while you're talking about the theme of environmental sustainability. So that's one of the ways how we can intersect. They will all work for your major and paths. And so we'll dive in a little bit deeper about what those themes are, what those LLC choices are, and how that influences the housing choices. So the goal of these TBLCs, or theme-based learning communities, is again to provide that opportunity for that mission-based. Students can choose or be assigned a roommate with the TBLCs. Housing preferences are determined where a student will live on campus. So when you are thinking about that housing preferencing form, we'll talk a little bit more about that. That is going to be really key for you to know what halls you want to rank between the 4 that Aaron alluded to earlier. For students, they are also having the opportunity, their roommates are a little bit more flexible, so you can be in any of the 5 themes that you see in our shield on the screen, each of them separated by a different color variation. So those are the different options for students. They are not limited to your major path. All of the TBLCs will work for your academic plan. So that is a key component between the LLCs and the TBLCs, is that we're going to ensure that whatever your choice that you make, that we want to make sure that you're getting to that 4 to 5 year graduation rate of being done at St. Thomas and moving on to the greater Tommy community outside of St. Thomas. Okay. For an LLC options, a couple that we have here. So the ones, as you can see, each bubble is separated by the different halls. One thing to note is our LLCs are location bound. So unlike TBLCs, where you have the 4 hall choices and you can rank them, and that is determining on your preferencing and your deposit date. For our LLCs, they are where you see they're located on this slide right here is where they will be. And so there is, so knowing that if you choose to preference LLCs, that will be the hall that is associated with. So I will break down a little bit about all the different LLCs that we have in each hall. So in our Tommy North, we have the Aquinas Scholars Honors LLC. That is only exclusively for our Aquinas Scholars Honors students who have been accepted into the program. Just a little tidbit out there for you this Friday. Those applications for Aquinas Scholars Honors program are due. So if you are interested in that program, please be sure to submit that paperwork and submit that information. If you have questions, please throw those in the chat or talk to Eric Fort, who is the director of the program. So for that LLC is exclusively for the Aquinas Scholars Honors students. All of those who have been accepted into the program will automatically be assigned to that LLC. That's a partnership that we have for the past couple years, for us 5 years now. And we see about over 96% of honor students be in that LLC. So you all kind of take over a floor and a space together and have the honors program interwoven in your LLC. For the Pathways to Engineering, also shortened as P2E, that is for any students interested in majoring in engineering or even have an interest in engineering. For those students, you're going to be about 75 to 100 students in that LLC, and you'll be broken up into civil, mechanical, and engineering, or electrical or computer engineering. So note that while engineering is a big umbrella term, there's different types of engineering that you'll be able to engage in depending on what you want your major to be. For our Economic Tools for Policy and Business, this is a really great LLC for students who are interested in majoring or minoring in economics. Those who are looking at how economics impacts our world and in our systems. For those students who are interested in business and interested in engaging with economics, right? And so being a business student is a little bit different when you want to engage in economics with business. So note that that's a little bit of the engagement that will happen from there. This is a very popular LLC for our actuarial science students. So we don't have it clear that actuarial science or statistics is as an LLC, but this is one that we tend to see a lot of those students go to. For our eMedia LLC, this is an LLC that we see a lot of students engaged in digital media, sometimes gaming, sometimes computer graphics and graphic design. This is another LLC. We see public relations, communications, journalism. So those are some of the LLCs that you'll see in that eMedia LLC. So those are all of our Tommy North LLCs. For Brady Hall, Brady will have the Healthcare Professions LLC. So this is anyone interested in pursuing healthcare, whether that's a pharmacist, a doctor, nurse practitioner, any of the other, right, chiropractor, physical therapist. You'll see a lot of different healthcare professions in that space for the Healthcare Professions LLC. For the Psychology and Neuroscience, or PAN is shortened. We love our acronyms in student affairs, so and higher education. So note that you'll see a lot of acronyms at your time here at St. Thomas. And so that is for our psychology and neuroscience students who are interested in pursuing psychology. This is one for a lot of our students that have grown in popularity for a lot of our different majors. So for some students, some of you might have already taken a psychology course in high school and was like, I absolutely love learning the different theories and the different psychologists that will further that learning. And so we see students who aren't just psychology and neuro major students into this LLC. We see a little bit of a variety of students. So great for students who want to be counselors one day, social workers, also who want to be in nursing or in a doctor. It's a different kind of perspective, but on what the psychology and neuroscience of what that looks like. Research students, if you're interested in the sciences, this is a great LLC for you also. And then our Helping Professions LLC allows our students to gauge into different professions, right? All three of these LLCs are together. They're a little bit similar. You're probably like, what are the differences between them? It's really the out of classroom. So, but for our Helping Professions LLC, this is for students who also are interested in helping others as a profession. So that could be education, that could be criminal justice, that could also be our social workers and sociology majors. And so note that this is one that's centered around focus and helping people. Some of you might already know that you want to do nonprofit work or create a nonprofit in the future. You work with some nonprofits and some community engagement for that LLC. So those will pique the interest of those students also. And that concludes our ones in Brady Hall. For Dowling Hall, we have the Catholic Studies Talos LLC. This is one really built for any student in any major that is interested in growing deep connections with their faith. And what does it mean to be at St. Thomas? And then to also for those who have a strong Catholic identity, to be connected with those other Catholic students on campus. We see other students who don't come up from a traditional Catholic background also in this LLC. We see a lot of Christian, overarching branch word of the word Christian at St. Thomas, also choosing this LLC. And so this will be an opportunity for you to engage and have fellowship with other students who are centered around faith in an LLC. For our Emerging Scholars for Justice, this is one where we bring a lot of different scholarly programs together to expose the students around injustices around our campus and in our world, not just our campus, but in our world, really. And also the opportunity to work on social justice skills and building and developing those skills as well. Some of the programs that are required to be in this LLC, we have our D Scholars Program. And so that is a scholarship program where all those students who are, if you plan to be a D Scholar, you will be required to be in that LLC, as well as our Cerisi Walburn Fellows Program. That is another scholarship program that is required to be in this LLC. And so you're probably like, all these different programs, I've heard of them, seen them, but there's also opportunities that if you are not a part of these programs, you can be a part of this LLC. It will expose you to different scholarship programs on campus, like our Excel Scholars, our REAL program, for some of those who might be interested in that in the summertime, but also to our our Common Good Scholars program. So we have a lot of different, right? It's called Emerging Scholars. We're bringing all these scholarly programs on campus together and giving you exposure to have new opportunities as you get here. Nursing is our newest LLC this year. For those who do not know, University of St. Thomas have just now exploring the Morrison Family College of Health. With that comes a brand new nursing program for us here. And so that's super exciting to say that we will be able to engage our students in our LLC program that plan to be in the nursing program. Note that this will be an opportunity for you to be exposed to the nursing faculty, engage with other nursing students in the program, and also just have an opportunity to see a holistic opportunity to look at what nursing looks like. And so it's a really great LLC, it's brand new. And so we're excited to be able to offer that as a new LLC. And then our last one in Dowling Hall is sustainability. Also have been a popular one at St. Thomas the past couple of years. Just a little fun fact is that it was our first LLC at St. Thomas, I think, Aaron, 7 years ago now. So super exciting to see this one still continuing, and really was the start of all of this great initiatives of what is it like to have living learning communities at St. Thomas. With sustainability, it won't just be focused on recycling, but it'll also be about composting and environmental sustainability and how that impacts our water with the Mississippi River and how it impacts our day-to-day lives with the pollution in the air. So it's not just focused on one aspect of sustainability, it's very much the opportunity for you to explore different variations of sustainability and how that can impact your everyday life and our everyday planet. So super exciting to know that if you are interested in sustainability and want to grow and learn some more skills, that it will dive into different aspects of sustainability. And then last but not least, the traditional hall, that's our very first hall in Ireland Hall. They're all traditional spaces, but that is the very first residence hall that we had on St. Thomas campus. So with some rich heritage and a very rich college, the Opus College of Business LLC for the Opus business is for any student interested in business and in the different concentrations of business, right? So that's everything from international global business to accounting, to real estate, to those who are looking at business management, entrepreneurship. And so every concentration that the Opus College of Business offers will be in this LLC. You'll have an opportunity to integrate with the different faculty and engage with them about Opus Business and what does it look like to be an alum from Opus Business, and lots of alumni engagement and a lot of different business and corporate partnerships in that LLC. Okay, so that was a lot of information about what those LLCs are. I will say on our website, on Residence Life website, we do have an in-depth detail of what each LLC is, what those courses are, and how you can expect to be engaged in those LLCs. So you can find that on our website. But a little bit about how that interacts with your LLC and your housing. So for the LLC preferencing, they are impacted by many factors, right? What is that academic program that you plan to major in? Placement testing for some of our LLCs. If you have AP credits, this is becoming more of a relevant thing for our students. I was a student who came in with a lot of credits, so that impacted the experiences that I would be engaged in. So note that if you have AP credits, that's something you should start thinking about. Deposit date and roommate choice. So those are some of the factors that can impact that. We encourage students to find 2 to 3 LLCs that are their interests. All of our LLCs have limited spaces due to course availability and demand connected to the experiences. We do our very best to give you your first choice, if not your second choice. Last year, we were able to give 92% of our first year students their first choice. So it's pretty awesome to know that most of you will get your very first choice of LLC. Usually that other 8%, it was due to roommate, not me and roommate didn't have the same plans as we thought we did, or it was academically, it didn't make sense for you to be in that LLC because we don't want to, right? We want you to go towards graduation. We don't want to hold you from graduation. So, but I will say that most of our LLCs will work with a student's plan. Every blue moon, there's a situation where a business student wants to take the engineering LLC, and that's one where we're like, hey, unless you're minoring in engineering, this LLC path doesn't make sense for you academically. So we'll find some very small nuances, but most of them will work for the different plans that you plan to major in. Some of you are probably like, whoa, like, so does that mean that I have the opportunity to really be exploratory with LLCs? Absolutely. You do not have to be in that major. That's a pretty common question with our families, is that do I have to be an Opus Business student to be able to be in the Opus Business LLC? The answer is no. Most of you will come in, actually all of you, not most of you, all of you will come in with the idea of, I want to claim this as my major, and you're exploring that first year, and then you'll actually declare your major that second year. So it's nice to know that you have that opportunity, and these LLCs give you that opportunity to explore, right? We have that mentality and that educational moment at St. Thomas to be able to do so. Okay. So
all right, thanks, China.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, let's talk housing assignments. So you can move it forward, please. You've got some information about our residence halls and heard some great information here about the first year experience, particularly the learning community requirements. So what do you do next? What do you do with that information? So the housing preference form is really the first time that you have to start telling us here at St. Thomas what you're interested in and what you prefer your first year to be like. If you are a family out there right now who has submitted the confirming deposit, it's a $400 confirming deposit. If you have put that in because you said, hey, I want to reserve my spot in this class, I want to reserve my spot in housing, St. Thomas is where I'm going to be, you will have received then an email from me in housing with this house, with access to this housing preference form. It's an online form, so there's directions in there about how to get to it through the housing portal, et cetera, but you have access to it. If you're a student family out there right now who's thinking, hey, I still don't for sure know, that's okay. We still want you to take this data, this information, and make that decision for you about what institution is the best fit. Once you've decided that St. Thomas is that place or is very, very close to that place, I would strongly encourage you to submit your $400 confirming deposit. It goes towards your bill if you stay, and you can get it back by May 1 if you cancel or change your mind. But getting that deposit in lets you then get access to this preference form, and we will send it to you then ongoing as the deposits come in. So why do you want access to the form? Again, you want to start telling us what you want your experience to be like. And so there's not a rush to filling it out. Once you have it, it's not a situation where if you fill it out within 24 hours, you're more likely to get your first choice. It's not like that. So take your time. Look at our website, call in and ask questions, email us questions like you're doing here tonight. Come visit campus if you hadn't a chance. Even if you have, maybe come back and take a second look and really get to a place where you feel comfortable picking one of the two paths. So she kind of just went over those two paths for you, one being the LLC path and one being the TBLC path. You do need to pick one of those two as your first preference. And this is the form you'll put that on. So you might say, hey, I really want to do the LLC path, one of those 12 communities that you just talked about. I'm going to put that as preference number 1, and I'm going to select the LLC that I want to preference. And you might say, I have a different LLC I want to preference as a second option. Or you might say, if it doesn't work for me to get into that LLC that I was thinking of, my next best choice for me then is a TBLC experience. So you can kind of mix and match. You're just letting us know what's most important to you. Regardless of what you do, you're going to want to rank the halls. So there's just the 4 halls. You saw those 4 halls. Come take a look. This spring, we have tours of all 3 of them. Unfortunately, not of Brady because it's under construction, but like I said, it'll look very similar to Dowling, and rank those halls. So I might say, hey, you know, I like a good historic hall, so Ireland is my first choice, and maybe Dowling's my second because Dowling and Brady have the largest of the double rooms, and maybe Tommy North is third because it's kind of brand new and I want to be close to Northside, whatever it might be. Go ahead and rank those halls. There's also some questions in there, like, you know, what are your study habits? When do you go to bed? When do you wake up? Do I consume alcohol or plan to consume alcohol? Am I someone who utilizes tobacco or not? You know, and these are questions we want you to be really honest about, because we will use the answers to those questions to help assign you a roommate if that's a choice you make. So just take a look at the whole preference form. It's not overly complicated, but there's some really good information in there that we want to get from you. And there's some good information in there that you're going to want to share with us. And if you have questions about it, make sure you reach out. So in summary, housing preference form, it's a process to go through. It's not overly complicated, but we're here to answer any questions you might have about it. There's a step-by-step guide out there on our website, tons of information on our website. So a lot of it's self-explanatory, but again, if there's questions, please let us know. And then the confirming deposit is very, very important because you want to have access to it until the confirming deposit's in. The confirming deposit also does one additional thing. We note the date that you submitted. That date isn't entirely what we use to make your housing assignment, but it is part of it. So for example, if an LLC is filling up and we have more people interested than we have seats, we'll look to the confirming deposit dates, and then it's a first come, first serve. Same thing if you choose the TBLC path and you're ranking your halls. And like I said, I say, hey, I wanted Ireland as my first preference. If Ireland kind of filled up with people who had an earlier deposit date than me, we in housing then will go to your second preference hall based on housing deposit date, or the third or the fourth, depending on when that date is in. So not to pressure you on making that decision, but we want to be real transparent about when you do confirm with us at St. Thomas and putting that confirming deposit of $400, it gives you access to the form, and we will use it to make some decisions about what your housing and what your first year experience looks like. Okay. So now as we go on to roommates, so this is probably the thing that we get the most questions on, not just now at this time of the year in the spring, but as you're kind of getting ready to onboard into St. Thomas. I like to break it down into kind of three different groups of students that might be out there right now and kind of how you're thinking about it. We know there's a group of you right now that are saying, I know exactly who I want to room with. It's a person from my high school or a sports team or the arts or someone I know. It might be someone I met on Facebook. It might be someone when I came in to do a tour with, whatever it might be. I know who that individual is. If that's the case, and that's the most important thing to you through everything we just said is who you live with, what I would say is just have a good conversation with that individual about these pieces because they need to match up. So, if you want to do the LLC path and you want to say be in pathways to engineering, but they want to do the TBLC path, you won't be able to be roommates. Or if they want to be an LLC as well, but they're thinking, hey, Opus College of Business, and you're thinking engineering, you won't be able to be roommates. And you want to then have that conversation. You might say, hey, I'll go where you're going, or you'll come where I'm going, or we'll both go into TBLC and that's where we can live together. And that's okay too. You have to decide where your biggest priority is. And if it's the roommate, then you can go ahead and make sure that those housing preferences match. Another group will be, well, I don't know who that individual is right here, right now. And so I do want to pick LLC or pick TBLC absent of anyone else. I want to do what's best for me and my journey. But I don't want you to assign me someone. I still want to pick someone. So when that time comes, we'll sign you into the LLC, we'll sign you to TBLC, and then we will send out a little Facebook group based on who you can pick a roommate from. So who else is in your LLC, who's in the TBLC path. And then if you want to go out on Facebook and put your profile out there and ask some questions and kind of find a good match, that's perfectly fine. You'll make that request of us and you'll let us know, and we'll do our best to make the match. Or the third group, and I have a first year student who's here, so I'm also a parent of a Tommy, and he chose to just have us assign a roommate randomly. He didn't want to go through the work of finding someone, didn't know anyone else he was coming in with. And so he said, you find me someone. That's about 50% of our incoming class that will say, housing, you find someone for me. I'm going to answer these questions honestly. I'm going to pick LLC or TBLC, and then our system and us will go through and match people based on how those questions match up. So how you match up around kind of how you want your room to be used and kind of what some sleeping habits are, et cetera, et cetera. So those are kind of the three different ways that we do it. And again, we are always here for you to answer some questions if you've got questions about the process. All right, so here's some contact information. This webinar is being recorded, so it is available to you and we can send that out to you. All this information is also available on our websites too, so you don't have to do a screenshot or a picture if you don't want to. Just we're available to you, and our websites are a great source of information. And then just a final reminder, you can come to campus. It's spring now. It's going to be warm outside, hopefully for the next 6, 7, 8 months. And come see the campus. It's just beautiful. We're really proud of our halls. When you come now and take a tour, you can see Tommy North, Ireland, and Dowling. We know that some of you toured in the fall or maybe as a junior, and you only got to see probably one hall, and that was Tommy North. If you come back now, you can get to see all three of the 4 halls, just to help you get a sense for the space in the halls and the campus and whatnot. So I'm taking a look here at our Q&A, and it looks like Megan and Brian did a fantastic job getting all the questions answered. I see 24 answered. I don't see any that are open. I was kind of looking through it as it was going, and I'm not sure I found any themes that went unanswered. So at this time, we'll just kind of pause a little bit. If there are some unanswered questions out there, please go ahead and type those in, and I'll just kind of address them. Shekinah and I can address them live here. Give Brian and Megan a rest with their typing, and if there's anything coming in, we'll get to. Excellent question. So one of them are some halls community style versus suite style. So in general at St. Thomas, the answer is absolutely yes. We have a whole variety. We have community style, we have suite style, and we have apartment style. In the first year, all 4 of our halls are community style. So kind of a traditional You'll live, most of them are double room living. We have some triples like in Ireland. We have a small number of singles available, mostly for accommodations, but a double room, you step out into a corridor and you go to a community bathroom that you're sharing with, anywhere from 14 to 30 other individuals, again, with privacy inside of them, but their community bathroom and a single user next to them. You're on a floor with, community study rooms and community lounges. So yes, very much a community hall. We do have a 2-year residency here at St. Thomas, so something to be thinking about too in terms of what that might look like going to your second year. Our current first years right now, in a couple of weeks here in April, are going to select their housing for their second year, and it's a self-selection process. So coming in as a first year, we assign you into the space, but going into your second year, you get to choose. You get to go into this web system and pick the hall, pick the room, pick your roommates. It's really neat. Enter in the information. And in that case, then we do start having some suite style spaces and some apartment style spaces. Any rooms have sinks. So Ireland Hall used to, and we took them all when we did the renovation. Just too hard to maintain and keep clean and whatnot. And so no halls have sinks inside of them. We do have water bottle filler stations in all of our corridors in our communities. Students are loving these filler stations in terms of having good access to water, and then of course through the bathrooms and whatnot too as well too. But no sinks in the rooms.
Aaron, I can answer the next.
Yeah, please.
So there's a question about TBLCs and that slide. So a little bit about our TBLCs and how the process work is so that students can pick any of the 5 themes. You'll pick those 5 themes during your orientation and registration in July. And so for the housing preference form, you'll just see TBLC as an option. You will not see that you'll be able to choose one of the 5 for housing. It doesn't matter which 5 you're in. You're going to rank your preferencing for your hall. So that's a little bit about TBLCs, is that you'll be able to pick what that looks like, work with an academic advisor in the summertime during orientation and figure out which path of TBLC you would like to take. There are 2 courses that you as a TBLC student will take. I will tell you that our TBLCs and our LLC experiences are mainly your fall experience, and then there is some carryover or connection to the spring semester, but most of it's going to be your fall. And so so that part about TBLCs is a little bit more of you have a buffet style, I would say, of options and opportunities of what you want that experience to be like. For those who are interested in TBLCs and you have a roommate and your roommate is also interested in TBLCs, you do not need to be in the same theme. And so that means that if you're interested in environmental sustainability and your roommate's interested in change making, it just needs to be TBLC. Some of you probably wonder, why is that different from the LLC? Well, the TBLCs, you won't necessarily be in the same classes like the LLCs. You won't necessarily do the same events like the LLCs. With our LLC communities, you will have these cohesive experiences versus TBLC. You could be in the same theme as someone and you might have 2 different paths or 5 different paths that you might take to complete that theme. So that's a little bit of the difference for our TBLC. I saw a question about honors. For honor students, if you're interested in the LLC and you won't know till about April when you get accepted into that program. You can still preference the LLC if you would like. We ask that if that is a strong interest to you, you will be able to do that. We will go through as Residence Life and verify with the Aquinas Scholars Program to see if you are accepted as an honor student. In the event that happens, 1 of 2 things will happen. 1, you can go on the form all the way through May 31st to change your preferencing. So note that when Aaron talked about it's not a first come, first serve on the preference form itself, you have the opportunity to change your decision and make up your mind all the way through May 31st. So either that choice is an opportunity for you. The other opportunity for you would be, we will contact you if we see a conflict, because we can't allow you to be in that LLC without being an honor student. So we will contact you and say, hey, you've actually preferenced, this is your first choice. You are not an honor student. So we have the opportunity to connect with you and use your second and third choice. So use that first choice as honors if you want to be an honor student, but you also please put your second and third choice. Don't leave those 2 blank. So it's important that you have those, because then we'll use those and communicate those to you. And again, those can change, whether LLC, TBLC, all the way through May 31st.
And we're looking at right now about a 50-50 split for those who asked the question about LLC or TBLC. About half of our students, first-year students, pick the LLC path, and about half of our students pick the TBLC path. And just to reiterate what Shekinah has mentioned too, there is no wrong choice at all. Every course, whether it's an LLC course or a TBLC course, fits into an academic plan, meaning it goes towards graduation. So we always like to say to parents, because I know parents are always worried about student maybe picking a course that is kind of a quote unquote throwaway course that doesn't count towards graduation or is not a good use of money. We don't have any of those in the first year experience. Everything will count towards graduation. So there is no bad choice. And even if you're someone who knows exactly what you want to major in, you could say, I still want to do TBLC. I want some more flexibility with hall or roommate, or I want to experience those themes, those mission-based themes through some interdisciplinary courses. And that's perfectly fine. You might be someone who's unsure about what you want to major in and say, yeah, but you know what, I'm really interested in that area. And this might help give me some good information about whether I do want to go major in it. Meet some other people that I might be, in classes with over the course of my 4 years, meet some faculty, ask them some questions. So there really is no bad choice. There's really no right way to do this. Our goal here is really just to give some good flexibility and some good options to you as first years coming in, that really let you engage with the campus, with some peers of yours, meet some faculty, engage with the curriculum, and get you on a real good path of success.
Great. I'm seeing a question about TBLC, LLCs for computer science. Typically, we see a lot of computer science students go with our engineering LLC because one of the courses works with their academic path, but also the computer engineering LLC has a branch off from the big LLC. And so we see a lot of our computer science students choosing that as a choice. And also we see a lot of computer science students doing e-media, because it does talk about the digital arts and the digital engagement, digital communication. So that's another one that we see students in. But our computer science, most of the time we see them in those two, but every now and then we'll see them in sustainability, or if they want to plan doing business, they'll do an opus business also.
I see a question. Yep. So Brian's answering some in terms of honors LLC. The webinar, that's a good one. Caitlin, you're answering that. Shekinah, do you have any recommendations around kind of biochemistry? Healthcare professions, I would assume, is probably the most.
Yeah, so it really depends on what you plan to do with your career. If you know that you want to be biochemistry as a major, do you want to go the healthcare track and research track? That will be for healthcare. A nice fit would be the healthcare would be the healthcare professions. If you're interested in the research path, psychology and neuroscience would actually be a better path. So if you plan on doing research in the future, or our emerging scholars, just because we do expose students to scholar programs at St. Thomas to help support you with that work. So typically though, if you're looking at healthcare and biochemistry, we typically see students take the healthcare path because most of them want to do bioengineering, or they want to do pharmacist with that type of degree.
Shekinah, do you have any thoughts on a history major?
Yeah, so history majors, we typically see you everywhere. One of our history faculty actually teach in our Emerging Scholars for Justice LLC. And so they talk about the history of the United States and how it engages with our current culture at in the United States. And so there's an opportunity to connect with the faculty member, and that course will work directly with your path for your major. So that's a great LLC. Our faculty are actually noted on all of our LLCs. So if you have more questions, they are open, and know that they're part of the recruitment process to help you decide and get more information about what type of LLC paths are for you. Trying to keep up with the chat so fast.
No, that's great. I know Brian's answering the question here about food coming out of the dining halls, which is probably good for everyone to hear too. So our residential dining halls, where you swipe for a unlimited meal plan, the food stays in. So that's but again, that's the benefit of being able to go in and out whenever you need to, so you don't have to take more food than what you need or whatever else. You can come back for it. Our cash venues, our retail venues like Scooters and Tees and whatnot, where you go in and you actually purchase the food or use express funds or dining dollars or something like that. Those are places that you can get food to go. Good question in here about kind of where the halls are situated on campus and in proximity to. So all 4 halls are very close to each other in what we call the upper quad. It's right across from our chapel, our upper quadrangle. Fry Hall, Tommy East Hall, Murray are all kind of this up north part of campus up by Selby and Cleveland. Just south of us is the ARC, our Anderson Athletic and Recreation. It's literally 20 steps from Brady, and then you just kind of gets a little further as you go towards Tommy North. But that's got, again, our weight rooms and our cardio rooms and our big field house and the pool and the gym and everything else. So that's the ARC. And then past that, maybe 100 yards or so is our student center, all part of North Campus, but headed south from these 4 residence halls. And the stadium is there. Our baseball field is up by us. We have other residence halls for second-year students like Tommy East, like Flynn Hall and Morrison Hall. So a lot of our housing is located on this upper quad where our first-year halls are. And you're looking at a 5 to 10 minute walk, depending on how long your legs are. My colleagues tease me, my legs are a little bit longer, so I can stride a little bit more, but it's not a huge campus. It's big enough to really feel like you're getting a collegiate experience and you're on a college campus. It's certainly not a high school campus. You got lots of buildings and lots of paths and everything else, and it's definitely a campus. But because we are kind of land bound in terms of being, a relatively urban institution, everything's pretty close. Where our students use bikes, though, they do to get to class and whatnot, but they really use them to get to like retail and to shopping and to friends off campus and to kind of just go for bike rides at the beautiful Mississippi River. So we've got indoor bike storage in 2 of our halls that our students get to use. It's secure. There's, bike tire filling stations, fix-it stations. There's a bike washing area. And so we have lots of bikes on campus that students bring with. We suggest not bringing an overly expensive one. Bring a modest bike with a really expensive lock, because the reality is when you're locking it somewhere else in the cities or whatever else, bike thefts are bike thefts. And so be smart about it. But our students love using bikes to get around campus and get around the neighborhood too.
Yeah. Lots of questions about roommates. We know that this is super important to you all. One of the questions is about, if I'm an Aquinas Scholar student, do they have to be an Aquinas Scholar student to be my roommate? The answer is yes, if you plan to be an Aquinas Scholar LLC. If you do not plan to be an Aquinas Scholar LLC, then you do not have to be roommates with an Aquinas Scholar. As far as roommates and what opportunities, we know that 50% of you will come in saying who that group of, who you want your roommate to be, but a 50%, and sometimes it goes a little higher depending on the year, will not know who you want to have a roommate. And so we will open up opportunities and groups that are exclusively, once you get your LLC placement, you'll be able to be in a group with folks on Facebook and find a roommate. And that is varying success, to find someone on Facebook. But we do see a lot of students use that. And typically what you all as students do will exchange Snapchats with each other and then communicate that way and find a way to see if that works or not. And so that is an opportunity that we use. A lot of students will use the class pages to find another roommate. But some of you truly will go in blind. I will say probably half of that 50%. So 25% of you will go in completely blind and saying, I'm going to go and go for it. And we actually see that most successful in our residential spaces is when students go in blind, and we match you based on your questions, based on your preferencing and your interests. That usually works out most of the time.
We're getting close to time here. I'll just speak quickly to a couple of them that are up here. So first-year students and vehicles. First-year students do not have vehicles here on campus. Vehicles for our students are our seniors, our juniors, and some second-year students, but not our first-year students. So we really encourage our first-year students, again, to utilize walking and bikes The scooters have become very popular around the Twin Cities, and we got scooter locations all over our campus as well too. Our students, of course, are utilizing things like Uber and whatnot to get around as well. We've got great public transportation close to us. So no vehicles on campus in that first year. We do have a great tunnel system also to get around. We've got a shuttle that takes students to Minneapolis. We do have a Minneapolis campus. A lot of grad school courses, but it's a free shuttle that gets you to Minneapolis. And so a lot of our students will take that to go down there for, again, the arts, Target Field's down there, Timberwolves games are down there, different retail and whatever else. There's a dining venue down there too that they can use their meal plan at as well too. And so sometimes it's just a nice trip to get downtown Minneapolis. And we have a shuttle that's a St. Thomas shuttle that can get you back and forth. So lots of different ways for transportation. And then when you're on campus here, we've got tunnels and, of course, our sidewalks and whatnot to get around. So the nursing building will be completed. So so Summit Classroom, which is an older facility on campus, is currently under renovation for that to be completed for this fall. Because as the school launches, we want to make sure our nursing students have really great facilities to get into right away in the fall. So they should be able to get into that this fall. We have a new STEAM complex, which is our science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Again, very common that you're seeing around middle schools and high schools. And so we've got a facility strictly dedicated to that. The groundbreaking will be this spring for it, full year of construction, and then it will be ready for all of you as you're going into your second year. So another exciting kind of opportunity on campus. A question here about rural or out of state for vehicles. Well, your families would bring you to campus and you would move in and you would be here. So I would not suggest trying to park off campus. It's city parking, it's permit parking, and you will get ticketed and towed and all sorts of stuff like that. So really it's about not bringing vehicles to campus. And so our students move in, they come here to campus, they move in, and this is where they are. Obviously families will come pick them up, or they'll travel back on transportation, Greyhounds or planes or whatever else for certain holidays. But otherwise, yeah, it's pretty much a destination. So you can have some other people spend the night. There's some rules on how often and whatnot. It has to be agreed upon by the roommates, but guests are allowed. And so you go out to our website, you can see kind of what that guest policy looks like, but it's all based on the roommate relationship. So we have a roommate agreement that you will enter into at the very beginning of the year. The RA will sit down with you then and go through it. And one of those questions is how do we want our room to be used? Can we have people staying over in our room or not? And so as long as it's part of the roommate agreement, guests are allowed. So we're at 5:02, we're 2 minutes over. I just want to close by saying thank you very, very much for taking time this evening to engage with us. We hope this information was helpful. Again, it's been recorded and it's online as well too. For those of you who have decided St. Thomas is the place for you, please get your confirming deposit in, start engaging with that preference form, and we are here to help with any questions if there need be. If you haven't been to campus and seen it, or you were here, as a junior or something, come back and see us here this spring, sometime before May 1 and take another look. So again, thank you very much and have a wonderful night and a wonderful week.